How are you doing? I'm out in the back garden, just trying to get a bit warm, give my arms a bit of a shake, and I want to talk about madness today. Sanity and insanity. The whole spectrum, where you might be, where you think you might be, and maybe some of the information that I share with you today might enable you to question that. So, I've just watched a fantastic film called Harvey, made in 1950, starring James Stewart. And Harvey is a rabbit. He is an imaginary friend of James Stewart in the film. He's 6'3.5", and he accompanies him everywhere he goes. Now Harvey, in technical terms, if that could be said, is known as a Pooka. In every single mythology and folklore you care to look at, from Irish to Welsh to Scottish to French, all around the planet, a Pooka is a goblin or a fairy, which for many, in terms of our old history as a civilization, really, when we were more connected to the earth, we had relationships with these creatures. These creatures could either be malevolent or beneficent, so good or bad. And there are many stories and folklore stories which detail the good aspects and the bad aspects. You can check these out on Wikipedia. Fascinating stuff, really. But obviously we've become very dislocated with mythology through the Industrial Revolution and postmodernism, and I personally believe this has brought a great deal of insanity to the planet. All you need to do is look around. But anyway, back to the film. So Harvey and James Stewart, they try to commit him to a sanatorium, and it all goes tits up basically. If you've not seen the film, I won't give too much away, but the general gist of the film is that the top psychiatrist in the end of the film ends up on the bed with James Stewart and his rabbit, basically giving him some advice about how to live his life. And I think we can take something out of that. One of the comments which struck with me was because the whole rabbit thing has come about as a result of a trauma to the family, and many of the characters that are playing the part in this film, from family members to clinicians to friends and what have you, all have some sort of trauma or some sort of dislocation, or are unable to work through that and form relationships. As a result of Harvey's intervention with James Stewart, everything seems to come together, all as a result of James Stewart's general sort of easiness, relaxedness, romantic view of the world. It's very, very beautiful, and in the end, I'll see who that is. That's my next door neighbour. Lol. In the end, near the end, James says, before Harvey came along, I was a smart guy, but I had to think about that, and Harvey helps me become much more pleasant. And I think that's something we can all have a think about in terms of this serious, hard world that we live in. So, I'd like you to check out, actually, I found it quite useful, the rabbit symbolism. Obviously the classic ones, Alice in Wonderland, following the white rabbit down the burrow into other realms, which any form of self-exploration and true understanding of self requires that sort of burrowing, really. Rabbits are also big family creatures and want to bring people together and exist in hives and what have you. But I don't know whether you've had any situations in your life or at home where things have gone missing and suddenly they appear again, or you've seen little handprints or just unexplained phenomena, because these Pookas are shapeshifters and are tricksters, and sometimes people need to be tricked for them to show their hand, for them to be able to, for some sort of scenario to come about where they can truly reflect on themselves. It usually comes about in some sort of trauma or crisis. So with the upcoming, well, it's just started today, retrograde, conjunct Pluto, which is the underworld, which is our truest sense of deepest self connected with the earth and our own power, strange, unexplained phenomena may be afoot. So if you understand the role of the trickster, I was playing that role through the whole Trump thing. I took it a little bit too far, but I loved it. I learned a lot about myself. Then you can start to see how that's useful as it could be useful to yourself when you start to think about yourself in a harsh way, or evaluate and reflect on past deeds that you've done which may cause you some embarrassment or pain based upon what other people think of you. This guy, James Stewart in the film, does not give a monkey's what people think of him. He's happily walking along with his mate, looking at the stars, looking at the clouds, and I think that romantic view of the world, of ourselves, is something we could all embrace further. So check the film out, check out rabbit symbolism, check out, Pooka thing, like I found it quite interesting, and take it easy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.